Hello, viewers. We have now Terada Mira, Vladimirovna. Mira is the head of the Struggle Foundation and a very courageous individual who has been vigorously fighting for the human rights, and also she has been fighting for getting the Russian imprisoned in the U.S. to get for their release. Mira, welcome to this interview.
Hello, thank you for having me over. Just a small correction. The name of the foundation is Foundation to Battle Injustice.
Yes, thank you very much for correcting this. First of all, we'd like to definitely salute you for your commendable work against propaganda run by Western media cartels targeting Russia and nations in the global south, including my country, Bangladesh. Since Russia's special military operations in Ukraine, Western intelligence agencies have been using Ukrainian media as well as dubious organizations such as the NewsGuard in silencing independent media. Our newspaper place also fell target of these elements, while Ukrainian neo-Nazi media, the New Voice of Ukraine, accused BLiTZ, a 21-year-old newspaper with international repute, of spreading code, pro-Russian narratives and misinformation about Ukraine, unquote. Under such an authority of the West and its neo-Nazi propaganda machine, in your opinion, how much important is further strengthening of relations amongst independent media in Russia and global South?
I believe that cooperation between independent media must be happening not only on the West, South, North, or East, because it has to be united all over the world. This is very important because, for example, we do have supporters of the multipolar world, not only on the South or not only in the East. We do also have supporters on the West, for example, whose voices are trying to be silenced. So it's important also to cooperate with them and to let them know that they do have that support, that they are not alone, because they have to stand up, and be against of the mainstream media, against the globalist agenda, which is hard for them. So yes, answering your question, it is important, and not only with the South or with the East.
In your opinion, why the West is consistently trying to silence voices like you and others who do not parrot their propaganda narratives targeting Russian President Vladimir Putin and Russia as a whole?
Well, because apparently our narrative and everything that we say is going against of their agenda. The Western current leaders understand probably already by now that people are not that stupid. It's not going to be only enough to use mainstream media in order to capture their consciousness. It's going to take a lot more. And this is why they do not like us, people who deliver different opinion. We are not trying to really fight them. We're just trying to show to the rest of the world our truth and our point of view, which is normal because there are always two sides of the story. And in order to come into the conclusion, and make and have understanding of the whole situation, you have to hear both of the sides. But when one side is silenced and only the other one is speaking, it seems not really fair.
Mira, that on June 27th, during debate, former President Donald Trump clearly said Ukraine is losing the war and running short of soldiers. Under this scenario, in your opinion, why Joe Biden and his NATO allies are still emphasizing on sending billions of dollars to Kyiv?
It's very difficult for the Democratic Party and for the current American president to admit that they were wrong. United States, you know, was not United States, I would say leaders of the United States historically do not like to admit when they are wrong or when they are guilty. And this is why they easily avoid the punishment for the crimes that's been done, you know, for the past decades by United States leaders or by the NATO leaders. This is why they are trying to still make a good looking face while they having, you know, a very bad game. And this is why it's, you know, they continuing to support Ukraine. But as you may see, according to the news, there is less and less support. For example, the budget of Germany for the next year that they already you know, put together. It says that for the next year, they will have twice less budget to support Ukraine. The world is tired, and you know, eventually this support will go down to zero.
Will you please tell us, our audience, about your organization, the BRICS Journalist Union?
Yep. So we have created, not only me, but people who are looking at the situation similar way. In January 2024, the movement called BRICS Journalist Association. And basically the idea actually was born like 2 years ago, when the first time I approached the Committee for Journalists' Rights, the one that's located in the United States, after several of journalists that I may happen to know, you know, their rights were violated because they came to Donbas to speak about referendum, but then they were not able to go back home because at home countries they were persecuted, their bank accounts were shut down, their relatives were persecuted, and so on. So we prepared the letter to this committee in order to get support from them, because the journalists were persecuted basically for just visiting Donbas, because the way how they wrote the news, there was no personal position. They only delivered what they've seen. And there was no answer. And then there is Russian media, Tsargrad and RT Germany, were also blocked, and we wrote another letter, and then there was no answer again. And we just figured that, you know, this organization, you can't really get any justice from them, any support. The organization seems biased. They only publish information that would benefit United States, and it's just didn't seem right or fair. And I started thinking about how to put together an organization that will be able to support journalists, bloggers, opinion leaders all over the world if they face injustice. And then I met several other journalists and opinion leaders who were thinking about the same. And we decided just together and create an organization together. And also we seen the issue that usually journalists that are persecuted, they are from BRICS countries, you know, like if they will go, for example, to the International Criminal Court, their appeal will be rejected or will be left with no answer again. So at the beginning, we decided that that would be BRICS Journalist Association. But then all of a sudden, as soon as we started our work, we had journalists from all over the world asking to join. There were journalists from Austria, from UK, from other EU countries like France and Germany. And then we had journalists from Austria, from South and North America. So just people from all over the world were asking if they could join, because they see it as a platform for free speech, platform where they know they will be, you know, secured at some point, or at least if something will happen, they will have many journalists and opinion leaders behind who is not going to let silence the truth.
So it means that you are also having members for the BRICS Journalist Association from countries which are yet to become a member of BRICS bloc, right?
Correct.
Okay. You have been extremely vocal about global persecution of Russians. You also have faced false allegations and brutal torture in the West. Why the United States and the West are trying to target and silence the entire Russian nation, and why they are especially afraid of Russian President Vladimir Putin?
Well, if you remember, there was a story how one of the attorneys of George Clooney Foundation was saying that they are going to, initiate persecution for Russian journalists. And such narrative is being on not only since the special military operation started, but way longer, because for United States, every Russian citizen has become as an tool to negotiate. Like, you can see many arrests of Russian citizens happen all over the world, and they all, join that exchange pool, like, prisoner exchange pool, the manipulation pool, because when there must be any agreement happen, there is always a tool that can you can use to manipulate on the even political decision. So answering the second part of the question about the Russian president, well, of course they are afraid, because look at the support that he gets inside of our country. It's almost 90%. People didn't even think about during the presidential election who to vote for, because there was nobody better for the past 20 years. And all those, little tries to oppose someone, it was just not good enough. Those people are not smart enough, they are not educated enough, they are not experienced enough. And I can continue on and on. And Vladimir Putin, is one of the leaders who is always honest, who can prognose and look into the future as a futurologist and see, what's coming. Everyone can remember in 2008 his Munich speech, when he was talking about NATO expansion, and look at what's happening 16 years after, and he could predict it back then. So of course, such a person would be a great danger and great threat to the Western leaders, because even if you would look what's happening on the social media like X, and someone would put like this questioning, who do you think is most popular, like Joe Biden or Vladimir Putin, or who would you want to be American president, Joe Biden or Vladimir Putin? Trump wasn't out of that, choice at that moment. And like American people would vote that it's Vladimir Putin. Of course, like if you were Joe Biden, and you would see this, you would understand how great that threat is when citizens of your own country, rather see Russian president as their president, even though all that propaganda machine is trying to demonize Vladimir Putin and Russia.
Mira, you know that you have been to US many years. You were in the US. You have been educated in the US, and you also definitely understand that possibly Donald Trump is going to win a landslide on November 5th. So under Trump's presidency, Trump has already said that Zelensky is a great salesman. I mean, he is no more going to give any money to Zelensky. So we can always think that Zelensky's time is running out. What happens if Trump just stops giving money to Zelensky and put pressure on him to solve the issue with Russia immediately?
Well, if that happens, finally, both parties of the conflict, and I mean Ukraine and Russia, finally will sit down at the negotiating table, you know, because every military conflict always finishes at the negotiating table. And not at the battlefield, but during the conversation and coming into mutual agreement. So I'm hoping that will happen this year, like, you know, the latest beginning of the next year after the inauguration. The most important part is to provide safety, you know, to the 45th American President Donald Trump, because with all these attempts to kill the candidate, you know, like in the whole American history, this is the fourth time when such an attempt happened toward the candidate, not even the president yet. So it's a historical situation, and you see what's happening around it, and you think how, again, Democratic Party and Joe Biden himself are trying to push this informational topic, you know, out. Like today, they already tried to say that Joseph Biden is sick with corona. They're trying to move him away from the public, from the publicity, away from the explanation of what happened and how security could, you know, mess up so much in the situation with that attempted murder of Donald Trump. And they are trying, you know, to give a new informational reason to shut down that important topic. It is a historical moment. You know, someone tried to kill candidate to the American election, and they're trying to do everything to say that it was false. Foundation to Battle Injustice actually did their own investigation, and we found out that after that happened, you know, the same day, one of the Democrats who also was investigating case of January 6, 2021, he wrote on his social media that next time whoever will be doing this attempt, try better, or something like this. It's not the quote, but the meaning was like this. And the same day, we were able to see like many bots, you know, on X, trying to spread information that it was false attempt, it was all staged, and then we saw a bunch of articles saying the same thing. And we, like our OSINT and analysts, they were able to figure out that 98% who was spreading that information, reposting it, and so on, they're all Democrat supporters, 98%. They either informationally support Democratic Party and Joe Biden as the leader of it, either even financially, you know, they make donation to Democratic parties. So it's very interesting case. Like you can see how this, you know, fight keeps happening even outside of all the statements of Joe Biden that this cruelty has to stop, and look what United States came to. He says one thing, and next thing you see like what's happening in informational field and social media, more cruelty and more brutality. You know, people are screaming about, you know, another attempt, that it has to be better, and so on. And those, and I just want to acknowledge one more time and admit one more time, and, you know, raise this topic one more time. It's actually one of the political Democratic leaders saying it. Like, I cannot even imagine that in Russia such a thing could happen, that somebody from the politics could say, you know what, next time try better. You know, it's just impossible. United States politics turned into the huge show, you know, and of course we know that Trump is just a better showman. He is a better businessman. He is a better negotiator. So looking at this side, of course, Donald Trump seems as a candidate that may stop, you know, just filling Ukraine with the weapons and with the money that weapons are bought for, because those weapons sometimes don't even reach the battlefield. They just go in through the black market, you know, back to the European Union, back to the East, for example, back to the Mexican cartels and so on. We've done that investigation about what happens to the NATO weapons, and we were able to find out that information as well. So what's the point of sending, in this case, US taxpayers' dollars toward what? Toward financing terrorists?
Terada Mira, of course, we express our gratitude and thanks to you for giving us time for this interview. And before we conclude, I'd like to offer our wholehearted support to you in your efforts of getting Russian nationals released from the US prisons. So anytime you need any kind of cooperation from our side as a newspaper, we are with you. And actually, you and I, we have already teamed up together to work. So this is not the first interview, dear readers and viewers. We'll be meeting Mira in the future also with many other topics. And Mira, wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and thank you for caring hard about such important topics. And thank you for all the work you do. And it's such a pleasure meeting you and working.
Thank you.